our recording and officially welcome everyone to our April meeting. Thrilled that you can be here. We are going to be starting off in just a minute with Piper, who's going to give a quick update. I'm getting a lot of questions on, and can you see my screen okay? Can you see? Okay, great. So just moving to our agenda, which usually takes like 5 minutes on Zoom to switch from one slide to the next. We'll give it a minute.
Let's move both. Let's mute both.
Oh, and Phil, if you wouldn't mind going on mute as well, I just asked for everyone to go on mute so that we can make sure that we can hear. Let's see. Okay, takes about 3 minutes. Just as a reminder, we're going to start with a little bit of update when Piper gets on about the tax initiative and then move into some other updates. I'll just start with those until Piper has a chance to join us. Just a quick note for everyone. I've gotten a lot of requests and questions about reimbursements lately. I just wanted to let all of you know that you get your financial report usually monthly, and the reimbursements, as soon as I receive them, I try to get them in for processing within 1 business day, and then finance can take anywhere, depending upon when it is in the month, 1 to 2 weeks to process, so that they show up in your financial report the next month as much as possible. All I need from you is a photo of the receipts, and it's being sent by a Fire Safe Council lead. If someone other than a Fire Safe Council lead needs the reimbursement, just let me know their name so that then, and if I need anything else, I'll follow up with you. But if it comes in from a lead and there's a picture of the receipt and you tell me what it's for, I can turn that around the same day. So I just wanted to let you know. Finance has gotten rid of a lot of forms and other things, and we've just gotten this down to a really tight process. So going forward, those of you who are submitting your reimbursements for various events should be seeing those really, really quickly. And with that, I think I'll go ahead and pop into events, and then we can have Piper give her overview in just a second. So just wanted to let people know upcoming events that we have going on. We have the RCD is doing a climate-friendly garden tour, and Napa Firewise is partnering at one of the houses to do a Firewise garden tour and kind of talk a little bit more about how that is a Firewise garden. And we're looking forward to that. The whole tour should be amazing. So if you haven't already signed up, it looks like it's going to be great. I don't know if any of you have attended in the past, and maybe Ali can speak to that a little bit later. Alison Blodorn is our guest speaker later this meeting. And then coming soon, we're going to be launching a Lunch and Learn program. Recently, we had a grazing workshop that was very well attended, and people had a lot of questions about how do they do collaborative grazing? What does grazing really cost versus other things? Who is a purveyor in the area? Is anyone interested in starting a collaborative? And so we're going to try and get a guest speaker and just have a conversation around grazing every month or so for anyone who's involved, and we'll send that information out. We're also going to be doing a lunch and learn about CWPPs. And while I realize that many of you who know about community wildfire protection plans, there's quite a few folks out in the community who don't know that much about it. And we have 24 active fire safe councils. We really want to get the rest of the county engaged so they understand the value of these. So we're going to put that out there as well. Welcome all of you to attend. We can talk a little bit about the update process and about the Cal Fire Toolkit as well. But we think it'll be a great opportunity to engage folks who aren't really familiar with the process and get them on board. Our goal being to have all of Napa covered with fire safe councils, but also with NFPA Firewise recognition to really show the insurers and others, potential funders, that we take it very seriously here in Napa, and this community is fully engaged. So that's coming up as well. And then we also had recently a really successful tour on grazing down in American Canyon. And we're going to be doing a similar tour out in Berryessa, to be determined exact location, to be determined exact date, because the grazing is based upon the weather and when they can start the grazing. And right now we already thought it might be May, and we've already flipped it to June. So as soon as I know more information, I'll tell you about that. That tour will also be on a Saturday. We're trying to move from weekday things to things where people can engage more, rather than trying to do it around their work hours. So more to come on that. As soon as I have dates, I'll be sending those out. And I think Piper might be delayed this evening, so I think we will just move forward with our update. Before I forget, one thing that all of you are asking about is what type of community events could I be doing, now that I have Firewise. And this is just a sample of some of the things that are coming up from a variety of fire safe councils. Angwin is tabling with their local fire. Mount Veeder's having a pancake breakfast. Coombsville Wild Horse is having not one, but two events in the same day. First a cleanup and then a community meeting. Berryessa Estates is tabling at their Property Owners Association. Berryessa Highlands is having a big community meeting out in Capel Valley. And then Angwin is then following up after their volunteer event with the fire station. They're also going to have a community meeting. And so that just gives you an idea. And if you're ever looking for ideas to bring your community together, there's a lot of great resources right on this call for many of you who are hosting events. And we're also to help, lean in and come up with ideas as well. But I just wanted to let you know, there's a variety of things from pancake breakfast to evening activity. There's a lot of different ways to bring your community together to drive resilience, but also to check the box on your Firewise application that you've had a community meeting. Lots of different flavors, no one way to do that. And with that, I will go ahead and hand this over to Fire. I don't know, Eric, if you wanted to start. Eric Hernandez, Deputy Fire Marshal.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
All right. Thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate it. And good afternoon, everyone. This is Eric, Deputy Fire Marshal with the county. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update. Our 6 defensible space inspectors are going to be onboarding on Monday. So next week, basically, I'm going to focus on providing some training to them so that, the following week, they're boots on the ground and they are going to be starting to conduct inspections throughout Napa County. So just a little bit on that. And then one way that you as fire safe councils can assist us is if anybody has any questions about inspections or any complaints, everything needs to go through our website and not go through me, just our website. It's an easier way for us to manage all the requests that are coming in. So there is a button on our website that people can click. They can request or they can file a complaint. So that's the standard. Same as last year. And in addition to that, we're going to continue conducting the consultation inspections. So as a reminder, consultation inspections are those property owners that meet and exceed the defensible space requirements, and they're looking for some sort of documentation about that their property is in compliance for insurance purposes. So, or if they want to do additional work, that's an opportunity for them for us to come out and do an inspection and provide some suggestions as well. So same thing, consultations should go through our website as well. I don't know if JR is on, but if he's not, we're also going to have the chipping program. The list has already opened, so people can start submitting requests for chipping services, and via our website as well. And I believe I saw someone added a link to that. So the chippers are on the ground and they're working already. So and I know that just like last year, JR is doing a good job with working with the fire safe councils on having the chippers move through different communities. So that's something ongoing this year as well. Oh, I see JR is there, so I don't want to take his thunder.
You already did. I don't need to say anything else. No, you're good. No, as you mentioned, we're off and running, and I put the link to the Fire Marshal's webpage in the chat, so you're welcome to go directly to that for Eric's stuff that he mentioned. Obviously, the chipping application, we're, as he mentioned, off and running. We are following that schedule as best we can that we've put out before. We have called a little bit of an audible or two already. Some very astute community member got a hold of me Thursday because they were about to start paving Sunnyside Road in Deer Park, and there was piles there, and so we ran over there on Friday and handled that for them. So we are off and running. So do let your neighbors and your folks in your fire safe councils know to get that done. And just again, as a reminder, I know we mention this every time, but these dates are not exclusive to the only time we'll be in your area. Obviously, after the end of May, we go to a first come, first serve all the way through the end of October. So if they don't make this date range, not a problem. We'll be out and we will take care of it again. The last thing I'll just mention very briefly is on the third link that I posted is that chipping dashboard that's basically showing some of the data as it comes in, actually pretty much in real time of the requests. You can filter by your fire safe council. It's got resident investment hours, chips, yards chip, things of that nature. And while it's fun to see in track, the actual real reason that we built it was so that you guys could pull down resident investment hours for your annual recertification for Firewise USA recognition. So that'll be some good data that's there for you as well. So I don't think I have anything else to add that Eric didn't already steal. All in love, of course. But any questions, I know we're both happy to answer.
Yeah, and one last thing. We invite you, all of you, to tune in to the Board of Supervisors meeting this upcoming Tuesday. We're going to be presenting we're going to be receiving a proclamation for Wildfire Preparedness Month, which is going to be in May, but that's going to be presented to us on Tuesday. Now, one thing that JR and I do want to highlight is this is not just us. This is a cooperation between all of you guys, all the fire safe councils, and everybody at Firewise. This is a community thing, and you guys are our partners. So we just know that you guys are a part of that. The other thing is we're going to be presenting the annual fire report. So this is where the chiefs and JR and my boss Jason Downs will be talking about a little bit of the activities and a little bit of the work that we did last year collectively. So tune in for that next week. And I'll send over the link to Lori so she can share with you guys.
Well, and then on the 5th, during Board of Supervisors, we're doing another presentation on Wildfire Preparedness Month. And your good friend of mine, Lori, is going to be up talking about a lot of the good work you guys are doing as well. So lots going on to kind of get the word out there about what all the good work that's being done.
I will go ahead, Eric, and send out the link to your website so that everybody has it. I'll include it in not just this PowerPoint, but I'll also send it. I think I continue to send it out in the newsletter, but I'll make sure that people continue to see and understand to go through that site for the inspections and the consultations.
Perfect. And if you could also send me some information about the event in Angwin. I believe you said it was the 17th.
I don't. That's all. I think that's all the information I have. But as soon as I have more information, I'll send that to you.
Copy that.
I don't have the time yet, but I'll follow up with Lauren and make sure you know.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. With that, I see that Piper has joined us, so I would love to invite Piper to talk a little bit about the initiative and sort of the status on signatures and everything initiative centric.
Okay, thanks, Lori. And sorry to be late, but I was on the weekly initiative phone call that went a little bit late. So signature gathering is continuing. We think we are on track for sort of mid to late May, getting all of the signatures that we need. But anybody who wants to volunteer and help us gather signatures, we'd love to have you. If you are interested, just shoot me an email at piper@napafirewise.org. Some of the campaigns that we're taking a lot of the professional signature gatherers out of the area are winding down, so that we expect that we will have some more professional signature gatherers, but we can always use the volunteers as well. We are also looking for endorsements from all of the fire safe councils. Those of you who have not yet endorsed, you probably got an email from me yesterday. So if any of you have any questions about how to do it, or any questions about the initiative, again, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are continuing to work on gathering endorsements. We'll be posting on the website soon, but we've gotten Mike Thompson's endorsement. We have most of our supervisors. We just got our first Chamber of Commerce, the Calistoga Chamber of Commerce. So we're moving right along, but we'd like individuals, we'd like organizations, we'd like electeds. The more, the merrier. So we're delighted. You can endorse in one of three ways. You can send me an email and say, I'm endorsing, and we'll put you up on the website. You can go to the website, saferresilientnapa.org, and just sign up yourself. Or we have actual real forms, but I would have to see you in person to give that to you. Otherwise, pretty much any way you want to do it is great. And any questions? Well, I must have been very thorough. But if you think of a question afterwards, please don't hesitate.
Thank you for spearheading that, Piper. Well done.
Thank you.
Lori, you're muted.
Lori, if you're talking, you're muted.
Sorry, I followed my own rule and muted myself. So I just wanted to let you know, anytime you send me questions, I'm engaging Piper about endorsements, anything like that, signatures, because she has the most updated information. And so I am sending all those inquiries over to her directly. Any other questions for Piper? If not, I'd love to now flip over to, as you know, we try and bring in every month a guest speaker to talk to all of you about different initiatives, different programs going on across the county. And we are so fortunate this evening to have Alison Blodorn from Napa RCD to talk to us a little bit about the regional priority plan. So Ali, I'll let you introduce yourself and that program a little bit more, and screen share, if you will. And again, we keep it, super conversational here, or people might, reach out via chat, but it's sort of an intimate group of just the leads from our Fire Safe Council. So we're so appreciative to have you here this evening.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lori, and thank you everyone for having me. I really appreciate your time. As Lori mentioned, my name's Alison Blodorn. I'm the program director of the Forest Health and Restoration programs at Napa RCD, and I'm also overseeing this kind of large regional project that I'll be speaking to you about today. And my goal really today is to just make you all aware of this planning process that's going on and how we'd like to engage you going forward. But let me just, before I forget, let me share my screen. Okay. Trying to make it so the little window goes out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to be talking to you today about the regional priority plan that's being developed for the Intercoast region. I'll explain what that means, but my plan for today is to introduce to you what this planning process is, explain how we'd love to be engaging partners like yourselves throughout this planning process, and just preview what that engagement process and upcoming opportunities for input will look like. One thing that I do want to highlight is that this is part of a larger ongoing coordinated statewide effort to improve forest health and wildfire resilience as a part of the Department of Conservation's Regional Forest and Fire Capacity Program. So you can see in this map on the right, the Inner Coast region is this light purple one in there that includes Napa, and I'll show you kind of what else is involved in that region. But you can see that there are similar regional block grantees across the state that are all undergoing similar planning efforts. And the goal is to be able to have this regionally driven effort to highlight what kind of the unique needs and considerations are with respect to forest health and wildfire resilience. As this looks very different, say, in the Inner Coast than it does in Southern California. So just to kind of set a little context about why we are focusing on a regional scale and why the state has really decided to invest in this focus. One is, I'm sure you're all very well aware that our forests and our watersheds and communities are interconnected across county lines. Wildfire risk and ecosystem health are shared regional challenges. The map on the left shows the fire history of the Inner Coast region over the last 10 years, and you can see over 30% of our region has burned in the last decade. And when you look at Napa County in particular, that's an even bigger percentage of our overall county. And as you're all very well aware, these wildfires have significantly impacted our communities and revealed the importance of investing at a local and regional level in wildfire resilience efforts. And as I'm sure you're all very well attuned to, we've seen a huge increase in the number of fire safe councils and community-driven groups that are directly addressing these issues. The other map on the screen here shows biodiversity hotspots across the United States. And you can see, we live in one of the most biologically rich areas across the entire country. And it really highlights the importance of stewarding our land, not only for wildfire resilience, but also for ecosystem health. And so this planning process is, as I mentioned, it spans the Inner Coast region, which includes Napa, Solano, Yolo, Colusa, Lake, and a portion of Sonoma counties. This kind of region it's really convenient that it also aligns very closely with the CAL FIRE LNU unit. So we can work in lockstep with CAL FIRE to make sure we're representing the unit priorities for the area as well. The Inner Coast Collaborative is made up of lead partners in each county. So the way that different regions approach this has looked quite different across the state. We have a lead representative in each county. In most of the counties, it's resource conservation districts like Napa. And in Lake County, there's a local nonprofit called Clear Lake Environmental Research Center that's supporting the effort. And so each of us as lead partners are kind of spearheading this planning process, and we're responsible for county level engagement. So making sure that we're talking to folks like you throughout this planning process, and then working together to engage regional partners like CAL FIRE, water districts, et cetera, et cetera. So what is a regional priority plan? Kind of what is the end product of this? The goal is to create a shared vision for the region that's grounded in current conditions and local knowledge. So that's where talking to folks that are doing this work on the ground is super important to make sure the needs and the priorities of our local partners and community members are reflected. One of the most kind of tangible outputs of this is a list of ready-to-go projects, and that includes projects that improve forest health and wildfire resilience. That could include practices like fuels reduction, reforestation, beneficial fire, et cetera. It'll also include capacity building projects. So those are projects that strengthen local expertise and partnerships, could include anything from workforce development to community engagement. We'll also be developing a transparent approach for evaluating the multiple benefits of projects. And I'll speak a little bit more about this in a minute, but we want to look into how do we assess the benefits of projects to not only wildfire resilience, but the ecological and community benefits. And this will all be housed in a public platform that will track projects and progress over time. And our goal really is that this is a living document, not a static report, and so that we can keep it up to date and reflective of priorities as they change over time. So, there's a variety of reasons we're really eager to be engaging you all in this planning process and other partners across the county and the region. One is that we need to be speaking to everyone locally to make sure that local knowledge informs this regional strategy. Our hope is that this is a tool that can communicate upwards to the state as well as federally what the local needs and priorities are regionally. And we want to make sure that accurately represents the diverse needs across this quite large region. Another value of participating in this planning process is it provides us an opportunity to really strengthen cross-boundary coordination and collaboration. So we know that we're all working really diligently within our local communities, but what about the areas like projects that cross county lines or other kind of jurisdictional boundaries that we might not already be thinking about? And this can help increase the visibility of work that's happening both at a local and regional scale and lead to more effective collaboration and landscape scale project development. We're also looking to partners and community members to help us think about how the benefits of projects are evaluated. When we think about multiple benefits of projects, what does that mean to each of us and how do we define that? And then, one thing that I think is important to all of us is, how do we fund projects? How do we get them done? And the intention is that this plan can help to improve access to funding opportunities. And I'm sure a really big question on all of your minds is, well, what about all the planning that we've already done? We don't want to be doing another plan that's duplicative or redundant with local plans that have been developed. So the goal of the regional priority plan is to build on existing plans like community wildfire protection plans, hazard mitigation plans, and other local efforts. So it's not at all meant to replace those. Instead, it's meant to start by compiling all of those existing priorities that are already known, those projects that have already been identified, and then help us to identify additional shared regional opportunities and needs. So really, it's meant to provide a framework, a regional framework for coordination and funding alignment. So a way to kind of simplify this or really boil it down as we see these local plans as being very community and county level action focused, whereas this regional plan focuses on kind of that multi-county coordination, cross-boundary alignment, and this regional funding strategy. I also want to speak a little bit to some starter thinking on, how projects will be evaluated and how who decides, what's included in this plan. And the short answer is that's also something we're going to be getting input from partners on. In terms of project inclusion criteria, the goal is to really think about what are the key things that we need to know about projects to support the intake of projects and the tracking of those projects over time, as well as the evaluation of the multiple benefits of projects. So we've been thinking through kind of what are the minimal number of pieces of information that we need to request about a project to support that. But we'll be taking that to partners to figure out like, oh, if you're working on a community wildfire protection plan and you want to make sure that plans that are included in this regional plan could easily be folded into a CWPP or vice versa, what types of information do you need to know so we can make sure we're capturing that? And then in terms of how projects will be evaluated, our goal is not to rank projects. Our goal is to have a framework or a methodology that allows us to evaluate the multiple ecosystem and community benefits that those projects might incur, and do that in a transparent way and in a way that's in alignment with the priorities of local, state, federal, and tribal partners and funding agencies. So our starting thinking for this is looking at a state level, how are folks like the California Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force thinking about multiple benefits of projects? What are kind of the top things that funders are looking for? And how can we make sure that we're taking that framework and adapting it to what's relevant in our region? So some starter criteria that we're thinking about include things like habitat resilience, fire adapted communities. What are the benefits of these projects for water and air quality or for biodiversity, carbon storage, or economic resilience? So this is actually going to be kind of our first major touch point for community and partner input. We'll be bringing kind of our draft framework for this to you all to seek input on, what's missing, what might we define differently, things like that. And then, to the point of funding and the maintenance, funding of projects included in this plan and then long-term maintenance of the plan, wanted to highlight the few different pathways that we see as being able to support projects that are included in this plan. This is all really, contingent on what funding we're able to secure, but one is that by having your project in this regional priority plan, it can help to strengthen the competitiveness of that project for competitive grant programs. So just as an example, CAL FIRE, for many of their grant programs, already have a checkbox in the application that asks, is this project included in a regional priority plan? And if it is, it gets some extra points in the application. So that's one method of projects being included in this plan, being competitive for funding. Another that we're looking towards is these regional funding or block grants that might support project implementation. The state and others are kind of increasingly thinking about how they can allocate large chunks of funding regionally and then have the local regions figure out how to distribute that funding. And they're looking towards things like these regional priority plans as those mechanisms to help figure out how to allocate funding. And then, of course, there's the potential for additional private or public funding. So things like local tax initiatives or, philanthropic organizations or others that may look to these plans to figure out how they can allocate funding to a region. And then, as we're working on the development of this plan, we are thinking about how we can structure the online platform and the way that we track and gather projects to make sure that it's staying live and up to date over time, and working closely with our funding partner, the Department of Conservation, to ensure that we're able to fund ongoing updates to this plan. And then real quickly, before I just open it up to any questions, just wanted to kind of preview our development process and where we'll be looking to engage you all. So we started this process last year, and we've really been focusing on starting to compile and review existing plans. So I've been emailing Lori, asking her for, what's in the CWPPs that they will all support, making sure that we're gathering that information as our starting point. And then we've also been working on collecting some landscape scale data to inform kind of our current understanding of existing conditions across the region. So our kind of upcoming touch points for engagement are, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be reaching out to get input on our project inclusion criteria and project evaluation criteria, with our goal of making sure that those criteria are relevant locally. We'll be conducting some landscape conditions analysis. We'll be looking to partners to make sure that what we're capturing feels representative of the actual needs and opportunities in our areas. And then, one of the really big areas for input for folks is when we start to solicit projects. So as I mentioned, we're starting with existing plans. So we're doing our best to capture what are the existing projects already in CWPPs. But we'll want to be also making space for the opportunity for new projects to be captured or, maybe other things that are in development. So we want to make sure that we have a robust and representative portfolio of projects captured, including those kinds of capacity building projects that I mentioned earlier. And then another area we'll be seeking input is, just the platform functionality itself. If you have to get in there and help us update a project, are we making sure we're setting it up in a way where it's going to be as least burdensome as possible for you to do so? So those types of user experience things are very important as well. And then in terms of how we'll gather input and how you all can stay up to date, we're going to use a variety of methods to do that. One is trying to utilize these existing touch points like Fire Safe Council lead meetings to, get you where you're already coming and keep you up to speed. We also have a mailing list on our website. I can have Lori send out a flyer with some information about this afterwards. And then we'll also be looking to schedule, one-on-one conversations, workshops, community meetings, surveys, those types of things. So if you have any feedback around how you like to be engaged, what's easiest for you all, definitely all ears to hear your suggestions there. In the meantime, we'll be continuing to keep Lori and Napa Firewise and you all up to speed through email updates, through our website, and you can always reach out to me directly with any question that you have. So with that, I just want to thank our funding partners, the Department of Conservation, who's supporting this work statewide, and then open it up for any questions that you all might have. And just want to reiterate, I know you all have worked so hard on developing community wildfire protection plans or may have those in the work now. So we want to make sure that, we're highlighting and surfacing all of those priorities at a regional scale and at a state level. All right, so I will stop sharing my screen.
I had a very quick question. I would presume that you're engaged with the baseline data report because there's a mountain of information there that could probably help inform, plus bringing that information and how to interpret that information back into the general plan would probably be of great value. So my guess is you're already well engaged here, but I just thought I would mention it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I know it can be a little bit of a hard to wrap your head around all these different planning processes happening at the same time and how are they talking to one another. We're actually working with the same consultant, ESA, to develop this plan, and they're the same ones supporting the baseline data report. So we have some overlap in the actual project team, which is very, very helpful. And then I've also been participating in, working groups and stuff for the baseline data report. So trying to build as much synergy as possible between the two of those.
One of the things most of you, I think, have worked at some point with the CWP with Carol Rice. And one of the things that it just happens that this is sort of coinciding with the regional priority plan. One of the things I've been talking to Carol about last fall with the Napa County CWPP coming up for renewal, I wanted to figure out a way to better have all of the plans roll up all of the projects. And so I've been working with her to sort of reimagine or re-envision how the projects are listed out, what the criteria are, what the status is, what are the benefits. So ultimately, all of the projects will have the same look and feel and the same data across all of our CWPPs, starting with the ones that we're working on now, but then going back to what I would call our legacy CWPPs, the ones that have already been signed and finalized, because those get updated every 5 years. So ultimately, and I'll be sharing out this new format to get feedback, but ultimately, that's going to allow our grant team here at NCFF to better say, okay, I'm looking for something with PG&E infrastructure or something that has, watershed components or whatever. But it'll also, I think, more easily align with other either regional plans or also as we're lifting and rebuilding the Napa County CWPP to have all of ours, not changing the data, but having the same look and feel and the same sort of flow. So that's something we've been working on since last October, I think September, maybe before. So as you'll see that as for those of you who were going to be renewing your CWPP or we're starting a new CWP, you'll see something different than you did in the past that I think is a little bit easier to manage. It'll still look like a table in the final document, but on the back end, we'll have this more usable Excel sheet, if you will, or database. In terms of, Ali, you mentioned funding mechanisms that already certain grants or funders are looking at this as a criteria. Have you seen or heard from other regions how that works? If they end up getting funding for something in an RPP, how does that funding allocation happen across the various partner counties?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for, competitive grant programs like CAL FIRE's Forest Health Grant Program, it works kind of just like any grant program. Whoever is the direct applicant is the direct recipient of that funding, managing that project. So even if it's reflected in, say, a CWPP or a regional priority plan, that project owner or proponent is just kind of implementing that under their own direct funding with that granting agency. In the instances where there have been these kind of regional block grants or regional funding allocated, that can look any number of different ways. It kind of depends on how those regional block grant recipients structure things. So I know of a couple of examples of this. One is there's a group of South Coast or Southern California block grant recipients that received a $10 million block grant from CAL FIRE as kind of a pilot of what does it look like if we award this funding regionally to support the priorities identified in a regional priority plan. And then once they received that funding, they went through a process of figuring out of the projects that we have in our plan, which are a good fit for this particular funding source or at the right stage to implement. I know in the North Coast Resource Partnership was similarly awarded a block grant from CAL FIRE, and they set up a request for proposals process. So for folks that already had projects in their plan, and you were interested in making use of this funding, you could apply. And then that funding is basically you're a sub-grant or sub-recipient of North Coast Resource Partnership's block grant. So I imagine, if the Intercoast Collaborative is awarded a block grant, we're still figuring out, because it's all theoretical at this point, we don't have the funding, but I imagine we would go through a similar process where we would set up a request for proposals process and then have direct sub awards. So, it could sub out to Napa Firewise if you were the fiscal sponsor for, a fire safe council or something like that. And then I think there's also the possibility that other partners across the region could also receive a block grant to support a slew of projects in this plan. It doesn't necessarily need to be the Intercoast Collaborative lead partners. So the goal is really to have this kind of repository and this method of kind of grouping and allocating projects. And hopefully it brings in funding in numerous different ways that could be held by any number of people.
But having a CWP project, let's say from a local fire safe council, in the regional priority plan, if we go after funding for that specific CWP project, and having the RPP box checked would be an additional help in terms of us getting funding specific for that project. So then the funding could come directly back to that FSC to get the project done. It's just that the checking the box of the RPP is an additional thing for us to be able to say that this has a regionally valuable project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other questions? I know we talk plans a lot on this call.
Not the most fun.
Well, these are planners, these folks, but it's a lot of plans. Well, thank you, Ali. And again, any information you can share, I will certainly push out to this group who share with their own fire safe councils, and we'll, get updates from you along the way to understand, what the impacts are, how this continues to relate to our programs across the fire safe councils. So any updates, just keep us apprised, and we'll be sharing that out, and maybe have you come back in, a period of time and give us a status update on where things are at.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll send you our information sheet, website information to pass along. And then if anyone would like to have us come speak directly to your fire safe council or your, broader group of members, or once we're further in the process and have things to respond to, and you would find that useful, just feel free to, let me know. I'd be happy to have me or someone on my team come meet with you all directly, or get out in the field together and talk about projects. And if you have any feedback around the most useful ways to be engaged, please feel free to pass that along as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allie. Thrilled to have a few minutes here at the end. I know some months we do, and some months we don't have time at the end to just kind of do a check-in with each of the fire safe councils. I don't know if anybody would like to kick us off. Otherwise, I'm going to call a name. Just kind of give us what's going on. And, an easy target for me is always Phil Burton, because there's always a lot going on out in Pope Valley. Never a dull moment, Phil.
Yeah. Well, we have a meeting scheduled at the end of this meeting, a steering committee meeting. So I have lots of new notes to share with the group. And here comes Mark Dorman too. We've been working at it. It's a long, slow process, as obviously any council knows, but we've been working at it and we're getting there. I'd like to work with you more and get our CWPP squared away. I noticed on that last map we looked at, there was a big white space, and that was Pope Valley. But if we can take care of that and do that, and let's see, and I'm going to push the initiative with the group tonight and see what kind of response we can get, and see if we can sign off on it, as well as most, I guess, the other councils have done that. And we'll go from there. And I think we have enough. Yeah. Oh, and listen, I want to thank everybody who showed up for our last meeting. That was great. I mean, we had a great turnout, a lot of people. I was surprised, but we went through all the pizza. So it worked well. And even, Ann Cottrell and everybody there, it was just perfect. And so thanks to all of you, Cal Fire, Firewise, and everybody who showed up. But anyway, that's my 2 cents for tonight.
Thanks, Phil.
Lori, this is Glenn from Soda Canyon. I'll jump in if I may.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks everybody for the great information so far. We haven't started working on a date yet for our annual gathering up here on Soda Canyon, kind of annual picnic, but that's coming up soon because we got to get it sorted out. Realistically, it seems like September is a kind of a good month for that. You do it too early, you end up getting cold. And we tried it in May a bunch of times and everybody froze because we got that big wind coming up off of Rector Canyon. So anyway, it's going to be sometime in the fall. I'm going to start working on that. Should have an answer maybe by the next meeting as to when that'll be, and format and everything. So I have to get with the rest of the crew that helps kind of put that on. And also talk about possibly having our nonprofit endorse the initiative to collect signatures. So we have a separate nonprofit that handles stuff up here. Separately, I'd like to carve out a little time in the next meeting or two just to kind of share some observations that were personal in nature involving how to get wildfire insurance in a high fire area, high fire risk area. It's a moving target for all of us, but I think the more we kind of talk it up and learn from each other, if it hadn't been for somebody bringing it to my attention that there was, somebody who could help out, we would probably not have it right now. And that's not a good answer. So it doesn't need to be anytime, it doesn't need to be long. It can be 5-10 minutes, so it can take people through what we've learned and what I'm keeping an eye on. Because I got another neighbor who's Santa Clara County Fire, and he just got an auto renewal from AAA. and it's been with him 40 years. So he's getting through the emotional part of that. And so we're going to be working with him next to help him with what we learned and what we're still kind of, I'm keeping my finger on the pulse of a couple new programs. So with that said, that's all I got.
Sounds great. And I would love to, yes, schedule some time on this call. But as I mentioned, as people are bringing topics to us, we are setting up trying to have like a lunchtime where we can open it up more broadly, not just to leaders. And maybe this is also, insurance is always a topic of interest. So that might make sense as well. So we can, talk more about what might be helpful to the community. But certainly we can carve out time on one of these calls, maybe next month to talk a little bit about this more.
I learned a lot, let's put it that way. And I came from the insurance world. A lot of little details you really got to focus on that really move the needle.
Hey, Lori, I can talk about Gordon Valley if you'd like.
Great.
Great. So we had our community meeting a couple of weeks ago, and it was pretty well attended. But the other thing we have here in our community is a quarterly potluck, and those are attended more robustly. So I'm thinking about putting our Firewise messaging out that way, which I do anyway, but making that more of our community meeting. I sent out the initiative to my Fire Safe Council today. Got some questions back, so I found the original wording and turned that into a PDF and sent that to them because they were unwilling to move forward without actually looking at the initiative. So I did that. We're working on a fire road that's going to connect two roads here in the community that have bridges at the bottom of both. When the bridge went out a few years ago, people had to drive around, and they created a dozer path that could be remade and turned into a dozer road and a little bit of a fire break. So we're working on that. We also had 3 members who went through the inspection academy with Eric, and so they're doing pre-inspection for the community on request, and that's working out pretty well. I think it's going to help people really understand what has to be done before the inspection. In fact, we found some houses that are kind of scary. So we'll be looking at those. And I think that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Pat, for that update. And yes, let us know on the what you decide on the potluck. We'd be happy to also help support that and table or bring information to that as well, or let us know what you need.
Lori, quick note from Circle Oaks. We are just about ready to gear up for the next round of our brazing. We have communicated with the neighborhood as to location, dates, maps. All of that's going to gear up here in the next couple of weeks or so. We also had scheduled our community day for Saturday, June 27th. I sent you an email just a little bit ago, so you can put that on your calendar. So that's it for us.
Thank you. I was just scrambling to write that down, thinking, wait, I hadn't heard that date. So thank you for letting me know that you just sent it, and we'll get that on the calendar. We try to attend as many of the FSC events as possible, and again, are willing to show up however you need us, whether that's tabling or finding a speaker or whatever is needed. So thank you for keeping us apprised in advance of your event so we can make sure we can get a presence there.
Laura, I'm happy to update on what Spring Mountain Fire Safe Council is going through with Beacon Box.
Great, Brandon.
Hi, everyone. Brandon Benelli here from Spring Mountain Fire Safe Council. Spring Mountain has 8 beacon boxes that we're trying to place. And some of them are in the county, some of them are in the city of St. Helena. And so I know that there's some more beacon boxes meant to go around the county. I think there's 24 in total. So I just want to share some of the things that we're going through in Spring Mountain to kind of make everyone maybe a fair warning is probably the best way to put it. The good news and bad news. The good news is that the county has agreed to waive the encroachment permit fees. And I think that is advantageous. Also, the city of St. Helena has done the same thing. So some of the problems that we would run into, the bad news is that it really takes a long time. We've applied for these permits over a month ago, and just getting the proper information, putting it through the proper channels, making sure that there's the contractor has the proper insurance, making sure that there's traffic control in spots that might require that. And so that's pretty much it. And it takes a lot of time. So if you're in charge of doing beacon boxes in your fire safe council, be prepared to wait. That's all I've got. If anyone has any questions on that topic, I'm happy to answer.
I just would throw in there, it's great to set expectations with your folks in your fire safe councils that the permitting process will take some time. We don't know yet how this is going to turn out, but we'll keep you all posted.
Correct.
We hope you can learn from our process.
Right. And that was the point, that was the point. We were meant to be a litmus test for the rest of the county. So here we are. And I'm happy to share contacts and emails and email addresses and things like that with the proper channels, so you don't have to, start on the Napa County website. You can go directly to the source of the folks that are helping us out directly. I'm happy to share that.
Thanks, Brandon. And I know we are trying to gather some of the information that you are experiencing so that we can, lift, shift, use that from the Give Guide project last fall that Stephanie was running, where we got the beacon boxes across the county to learn and hopefully have some of the county partners learn as well, so that as we go forward with these other ones, more of an understanding, get kind of a machine going of how this process works to hopefully, streamline it a bit. So
right.
Thank you for taking the first run at this.
No, my pleasure. And the good news is the folks in the county, they're on board. And so, so that's good.
We probably have time for one. Oh, great.
Sorry. Megan from Barry SOS Fire Safe Council. We don't have a ton going on yet, but we did do some burn piles on BOR land, about 26 piles. We had 14 volunteers and a 3-man CAL FIRE crew, which was awesome. We had fun, and we also took care of some burn piles that we have been trying to get burned for a really long time. I wasn't at last month's meeting, so I don't know if it got mentioned, but we were able to connect with BOR with the help of Lori and Sherry. And that was awesome to connect with them. We are one of the neighborhoods in the Barry West Fire Safe Council surrounded by BOR land. So it's really important for us to develop a relationship so that we can work together with fire prevention and all that stuff. So that's about it. Thanks.
Thanks, Megan. And I did speak with Danielle Ashton from the Prescribed Burn Association, and she is going to come speak to us, I think in August or September, sort of burn season, and kind of walk us through a little bit more about the Prescribed Burn Association and about doing burn piles and more information. So we're all lined up through October, although things have a tendency to change. But just wanted to let you know that is something else we're talking about doing, a workshop on, or if people have questions, we want to make sure we connect you. I know at the recent Pope Valley meeting, I want to say it was BC, Jason Fryer was there talking a lot about what goes into, CAL FIRE partnership and how burning works out there. So there's a lot of different initiatives going on with all of you. So to the extent that we want to, have a session, talk about insurance, to talk about burn piles, or whatever the topics are, we want to make sure we hear from that, the how-to for beacon boxes, and try and get that information back out to you. So just keep letting us know what the questions or the needs are, and we'll try and make sure we get you the right resources. And with that, we are at 6 o'clock on the dot, and I know your dinners beckon. Hopefully your dinners beckon. But for those of you who are cooking, my thoughts are out with you as well. And I wish you a great evening. Always feel free to reach out anytime in between these meetings, and just know how much we appreciate all that you're doing in your communities. You're making such a huge difference. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Laura.
night.
Good night.
Thanks.